"Helga, whom you seek, is gone," said the village elder. "Vanished from his house in the dead of night 1 week ago. None saw or heard anything, and none have seen or heard aught since." Fitch nodded. "A week, you say?" He pointed across the square. "And this was his house?" "Aye. Built it with his own hands, in hopes of marriage to Tess, the miller's." Fitch held up his hand and turned to the hooded ranger, who stood silently nearby. "Latimer?" The ranger gave a curt nod and strode toward the house. He vanished inside and emerged minutes later. "3 men, armed with axes," he said. "One tall, lean. He didn't enter the house with a broken nose, but he left with one. One squat, probably a sailor. One shorter than Pell. Maybe a dwarf, but I'm guessing a gnome. Helga, taken by surprise. Light wounds, bound with a rope, the type used on the docks at Middleton. Loaded onto the back of a horse." He pointed west, that way, moving fast. "So he's lost to us." "To you, maybe," Latimer grinned. "Not to me." On the first day, Latimer led the party at a rapid pace. Once away from the village, the horsemen had plunged recklessly through the forest in their haste to put distance between themselves and any of Helgar's neighbours who might give chase. Latimer followed a clear trail of deep hoofprints, shredded leaves and broken twigs for many miles. The second day brought them to plains dotted with bare rock. Latimer sought fragments of stone chipped by iron-shod hooves, a sliver of dried meat dropped by a careless eater on horseback, and a rock smeared with dried blood. Latimer grunted with satisfaction at this, pointing at the strands of reddish-blonde hair embedded in the blood. Helga, he explained, had either been flung roughly to the ground or contrived to fling himself headfirst so as to leave this trace of his presence. Pell frowned at this. "That seems far-fetched. Why bother to leave a sign most people would never spot?" "Because he knew most people wouldn't be looking," Latimer answered. On the fourth day, the trail went cold. Latimer prowled like an angry wolf. He touched the leaves, smelled the air, tasted the dirt, and listened to the wind, his expression as dark as they'd ever seen. "Something's amiss," he muttered to himself. After several hours of this, the sun had almost dipped below the horizon, and Fitch cleared his throat. "Maybe we should make camp." "No," Latimer snapped. "No camp. The hunt continues." He stalked into the woods. Glancing at each other nervously, Pell and Fitch hastened after him. They found him crouched before a towering oak tree. His knife was out, and as they watched in horror, he slashed open his palm with the blade. Squeezing his hand into a fist, he poured his blood upon the tree's thick roots. With a creaking, groaning sound, the tree's branches shuddered, leaves rained down upon Latimer's bent back. "Little creature," a vast and ancient voice breathed, "thou hast awakened me with thy blood. I acknowledge the old pact. What wouldst thou of me?" "I seek a comrade, Helga of the village of O.L.D. He was taken west by 3 men on horseback, and I have..." Latimer paused. "I've lost the trail." "Helga," the oak mused. "Yes, the crows of Red Hill speak highly of him, for as a child he saved one of their tribe. Fear not, little creature. I will summon aid for thee." The oak fell silent. Moments later a wind rose, roaring through the trees, and when it died, they heard a flutter of wings. A large black crow flew into the clearing and settled on Latimer's shoulder, cawing loudly. The ranger got to his feet, and when he turned round, his eyes were alight with triumph. "We have them," he said.